This episode of That Is Not a Noun is sponsored by VT Heroes. Take it away, and thank you, VT Heroes, for sponsoring this episode of That Is a Noun. That is not a noun. Let me do it over again. Hey, I want to thank VT Heroes for sponsoring this episode of That Is Not a Noun. Take it away, VT Heroes. And again, thank you for sponsoring this episode of That Is Not a Noun.
I'm here to challenge the queen.
Okay, darling. Whatever you want.
VC Yellow.
VT Black.
Nunchaku.
3-hit combo. Need a gut. Punch to gut. Totem rush.
Heal.
It's all for you. Yeah, yo. There whenever it matters, and even more when you feel like it doesn't. Protect you so you never feel like you wasn't. No, I'm right alongside you. Either that or I'm behind you, but always got you. End of discussion, nothing means more. First one to offer is shoulders for what you reach for. Thought I saw the eyes of the world until I seen yours. And know that I ain't see a better view yet. I'm with whatever, so don't ever you fret. Know that you covered, not a hurdle or a heartbreak. A change what a partake, cause none of them won't ever get comfortable in your walkway. My job is to aware you, fully loaded, prepare you for all of the above that I'm never letting get near you. But still in all, give you every advantage I found. Couldn't find a better fit for them, along with my crown. And since the baton was passed, hopping down, cause failing's not an option, and dad is not a noun, not at all.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Ishmael from Dad Is Not a Noun. What's going on? Changing the narrative for men of color and fatherhood, but also changing the narrative on the things I care about. And the one thing I do care about is mentorship, youth, and finding ways to get kids excited about the future. And my special guest today, I had him on last year. Yep. For the awesome event they had last year called Tech Fest 2021. Actually, was it 2021?
It was 2020. It was 2020.
2020. I'm getting my years mixed up.
Every year, yeah.
I get it all mixed up, but it was the first annual, and it was amazing. I was there and I saw it, and it was amazing. And they have 21 coming up around the corner, which is this weekend, which I implore you to check it out. If you have a youngster starting at the age of 12 that love tech, I just flat out, I want you guys, people to attend. Even older adults, please check it out. My special guest, Billy. How you doing? Introduce yourself.
I'm doing well, Ish. Yeah, my name is Billy Ayola. I'm the COO of TechFest Live. So, last year we held an awesome event. We got a lot of push from Ish and the That Is in the Noun community. We were greatly pleased with the turnout, and we had a lot of adults there to be able to view what we were doing as well. And it was nice to just be able to get some camaraderie going between the kids, the adults, the different peers and mentors. It was really, really good. And like this year, we're doing it even bigger, despite having to have made a couple of different decisions and how we were going to carry out the event. I think this year is really going to set the tone for everything we do in the future.
And I think that's the one thing too. Like the first year is like you're learning on the curve, right? You're figuring things out. It's like being, just rookie pitcher and you're on the mound. and you're just learning. You're in the big leagues. So just
That's all it
take me
was.
behind that. Take me behind that. That the first year. Talk about that.
So I think the first year, the main thing was one, finding our footing. And I think it was really difficult to do so because KJ was trying to, Khalil is the founder and CEO of TechFest Live. And he had this awesome vision to create an educational event for youth that would get them interested in tech and then also catch them up on tech trends. Now, the only issue was that in establishing his vision, his mission, our core values, all of those different things, trying to understand what the brand would be, what was supposed to always have been a live in-person event was upended by the pandemic and had to switch. So now you have this event becoming virtual. Then on top of that, you have the fact that all of the connections he was looking to make, right? He wants to get out there and meet people. He wants to get out there and talk to the different tech, like different tech leaders in Houston and in Austin. And unfortunately, because of COVID, he wasn't going to be able to do that, right? So now even the connections that we were supposed to have now also been interfered with. So it really changed a lot of different things and kind of changed what we were capable of doing. But what was really good about it was that it also forced us to start in a very agile way. Like, oh, wow, things don't always go as planned. Well, what better year to learn that than when COVID happened, right? And so when you're starting an organization in the midst of a crisis like that, you really have to duck and weave some certain things. You also have to kind of look out for certain opportunities that one may have not noticed or realized before and be like, you know what, maybe this is the way we need to approach this. And so we really did learn a lot. And like you said, our learning curve was crazy. One of the main things I think we also learned was like whenever you're trying to do something big, um, I guess the common saying or adage would be think big, start small. So last year we just wanted to have, man, we were like 500 kids gonna do it. We're gonna have so many kids sign up. We're gonna do all of these different things, and then and a lot of that just has to do with me being like a big dreamer. And so I like was in Khalil's ear, like, yo, we could do this, we could do that. And he's like, you know what, we could. So like our goal list like became extremely long because I'm just overly ambitious like that.
Right.
But I think one of the things that we quickly realized is like, if we're really looking to do this for 20, 30 years, and it's a generational organization. So even beyond us, 50, 80, 100 years, we're going like that, then there's really no rush. And so we had to kind of start breaking our list of goals down into, maybe by year 3, okay, maybe by year 10, we'll do this. So and not focusing too much on that because that can become a distraction as well. Like, oh man, well, this is going to be so dope when we can do this. It will be, but that's all you need to say. There's no need to start planning years in advance. Like, it's more like this is what we want to do in the future. So this is what we need to do now. And then we focus relentlessly on our goals for this year. And so we did learn a lot about, ideation, goal setting, building an organization, um, and also just, how to dream properly, not just dream big.
And I like that mindset that you guys pivot. It's like you can still have big dreams,
Mhm.
but you have realistic goals.
Yeah. Oh,
Big
yeah. They have to
dreams,
be achievable.
realistic goals. Because when you have
Exactly.
those realistic goals, all of a sudden they're like your big dreams. You're like, oh shit, we
Yeah,
did that.
exactly.
But it may not happen in the first year, but it could happen. It'll happen in the fourth or the fifth year. But again,
Exactly.
it's that realistic goal matter, and I love how you guys did that. But it was the first year was very successful if
It
you think
was.
about it. And that's the crazy thing too. Is like without any social media buzz without being on major media outlets. It was
Right.
word of mouth. Talk about that.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think so. Last year, how it kind of happened was, we ended up talking with the Boys and Girls Club, and the Boys and Girls Club funneled a lot of kids into the program. So that was really nice to have, a lot of Salvation Army Boys and Girls Club members in attendance. And a lot of them were very interested in tech. So their parents didn't have to tell them anything. They were just like, hey, Dad, I'm going to be on this thing from 11 to 4. Like, that was that. And that felt good because you're seeing, 12-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 16-year-olds saying, hey, this is how I'd like to spend my Saturday, my entire Saturday, basically. And that was really impressive, especially because a lot of them were Black and Latinx. That really was impressive because I think that a lot of people have a tendency to assume that kids, first and foremost, are only interested in sports and entertainment. And then that's even further perpetuated in the African American community that, oh, yeah, sports and entertainment, that's where it's at. Man, these kids were getting on there and asking better questions than me. So I was like, obviously, they've been researching these things and they're interested in it. So it really did change people's outlook, I believe. But yeah, Boys and Girls Club, big shout out to them because they really did a great job in bringing the majority of the kids. And then the other attendees were actually youth from youth groups and churches, because we had about two churches that supported us. One supported financially, and the other was very big on spreading the word. And so they kind of put it in their reel, those Sunday announcements, and parents were like, okay, let me take a quick picture of this. And then they showed up. So with that, it was really like small and local. It was all Houston, and it was mostly churches we knew and organizations we knew. So we definitely didn't have a problem with that. Now, of course, like when talking to schools, we learned that there was a lot of red tape with that. You want to put something up, and they'll be like, well, it has to get approved by this person, and you're like, okay, well, what's that person's email? And they're like, oh yeah, this is their email, but don't expect anything back for 4 to 5 months. Like this event is in like 2 to 3 months. So it was one of those things where we just realized, like, there are a lot of decision makers that you have to go through. And another thing too is everybody thinks they're the decision maker in a sense, right? Because maybe somebody is the one who can approve your bulletin, right? But then when you go to them and you say, hey, Mr. So-and-so, Miss So-and-so, nobody is really signing up for this. How do we further push it? Oh, well, we can make an announcement, or we can send a parent email, but you're going to have to make a whole new ad or a whole new flyer. It's going to have to be approved by this person, not me anymore. And then they're going to have to be the ones to send it out to all of the parents or send it out to the kids, because I don't even have access to those people's email like that. And it's just like, for every single thing you want to do, it's like pulling teeth, And so realizing that schools may not be the best way to get people was a huge realization, because we spent so much time there, but it just wasn't really paying any dividends. So
I think what kind of helped you too, if I could be wrong, was just reaching out to like individual proactive teachers that have passion to look, that has that passion for their students. And when you do that when you do that link to them, they're like, I'm down.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna tell their parents, and I'm gonna get their emails, and I'm gonna send them a link.
Yeah, sometimes. So, that's a great point, Ish. So I think one of the things that we missed early on was the importance of like grassroots movements, and the fact that it's not breaking any rules to reach out to a teacher and say, hey, you're the keyboarding teacher, or you're the computer science teacher, or even, hey, you're a teacher that the kids love. Here's an awesome educational event that will get them prepared for the future, college and career prep. Would you like to share this with them? And the funny thing is, teachers actually have the access or the ability to share, to do these things without having to get any approval.
Yeah.
But people in our position often miss that and go after the superintendents, the principals, the vice, and you're trying to talk to all of these different people who you feel have an immense amount of power. Funny thing is that they don't actually control as much as you think. Plus, I should also say, the teacher that kids do stuff for teachers they like.
There you go.
More than anything else. So those kids are more likely to attend an event because, Coach so-and-so, or, Miss Holloway, this person said this, so I'm going to go. I've got to go because they said it was going to be a good opportunity for me. There's this level of trust that exists between teachers and students that if an administrator sent a student an email, they would totally ignore it. So it's really important to look at that, and to realize that a lot of times it's word of mouth that really gets crowds moving. And that's really what creates this overflow and a true passion for whatever it is that you're doing. People need to hear it from someone that they love and care about.
And then the one thing too I enjoyed about the first year is how the parents were involved with the kids. Like the kids, the kids were learning, but as well as the parents were into it too, because it's a lot of stuff they didn't know either.
Yeah, I think some of the questions that appeared in the chat were probably typed by the parents. I'm like, this vocabulary, this grammar. I was like, wait a second, this isn't the same 12-year-old kid I just saw on the screen. I don't think. You see his dad in the background, just listening for the answer. But I do feel like that was one of the nicest things. And I really, really can't wait for it to be an in-person event where parents are taking their kids there and getting to enjoy the panels and do all of those things as participants, and not just like, hey, I'm letting my kid borrow my laptop, so I'm just here. Because some of the parents really were just trying to make sure their kids were in attendance, and that they didn't break anything or touch anything on their work laptop. It wasn't really so much because they cared about the event, whereas there were some parents that were like that. There were a lot that weren't like that. But I can't wait for a moment where parents are actually showing up and being like, I want to go to this event, I want to go to this panel. Hey, you and your sister can go here. I'm gonna stick back and learn more about cryptocurrency. Like, I want that, because it's supposed to be a family-friendly event. But in this particular case, it's not family-friendly, meaning that, kids can come too. It's family-friendly, meaning parents can come too. So it's kind of cool to be able to be like, hey, this is a kid-first event, but we want parents to get dragged along.
And I think, and I'm excited about this year, 2021, because this one is bigger. And one of my favorite things that kind of caught my eye on the different things that you're gonna be presenting is the cryptocurrency, because I know that's like the big thing right now. Everybody's jumping into it. Everybody want to learn about it, and talk about that.
So, it's interesting because a lot of people don't really know the origins of cryptocurrency and like the purpose, right? So it's decentralized finance, right? So basically the whole purpose is like, it doesn't belong to any government. It's not produced by any government. And therefore it's a true marketplace where like the value of this thing is determined strictly on where other people value it, right? Which is really how economics is supposed to work, supply and demand, right? But because a lot of people miss that, we wanted people to get educated on that aspect. Like, what is cryptocurrency, and how do you go about trading it properly? How do you go about recognizing it as like any other commodity, like the US dollar or gold or
Right.
silver or any of those things? So a little bit of history on it, right? But then at the same time, I think the other thing too is that this is an opportunity for a lot of people to be able to find financial freedom by learning how to trade something that is going to be really big, right? And
Right.
so when we were younger, we couldn't just be like, I want to trade gold, right?
Right.
Like you couldn't just say you wanted to trade gold, and the softwares that you would have to buy to do those were really expensive, and we didn't have access to that. But now you can literally get Coinbase, or get Robinhood, or get any of these different things, FTX, for free. And then from there, when you have a little money, throw it in there, buy some partial, right? You don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin.
Right.
Most Americans can't afford a whole Bitcoin, right? Like something that's $60,000 in value, right? So you can't do that. What you can do is you buy something partially, and then you just keep reading the market and figuring it out, and then you buy, you trade, you sell, you do all of these different things, and eventually, as it builds up, then you may find yourself very, very wealthy, And so the fact that it's giving an opportunity to people who were kept out of the real economic trades of the past, now everybody has the ability to do it. We felt like what better financial or fintech, um, I guess you can say, subject to focus on than cryptocurrency. And the funny thing too is that the people that are doing that workshop actually came to us
Wow.
because they happen to be working alongside Kids Robotics Academy, and Kids Robotics Academy was actually a sponsor and a partner last year. And their founder, Dee, she's actually helping out this year too. But what was funny was all of these engineers, a lot of them do other things on the side, including trading cryptocurrency. And so two of the guys were like, hey, like, no, we talked about robotics last year. No, you may even be talking about robotics this year, but can we do our own thing on the side about this whole different? And we were like, oh yeah, like come talk about it. And luckily, they're really ready to go. They're geared up. I mean, the speakers this year are great, man. Like
I saw the list, man. It's heavy hitters, bro.
it is heavy hitting, bro. I'm like, I need to talk to some of y'all after the show. Like this is a good opportunity for people to learn a lot about a lot of different things. Like, I mean, I can take you through it, but I don't want to, go too far, or go down a rabbit hole.
Go for it, man. Yeah, let the people know, because I think what you guys are offering is something that you would have to pay a lot of money for this information.
Yeah, man. So okay. What's so interesting about this is that you have entrepreneurs, you have speakers too, that are professional speakers that are usually paid to go and speak at events, right? Like South by Southwest and other places. And these people have volunteered their time. Like, first and foremost, I just want to say thank you to the speakers, because that's a really, really big deal for someone to say, I don't want to check. I don't need a check. My thing is, you guys are doing this for kids, and I want to be there to help. Like, I'm gonna just tell you flat out, like, our budget for this year only included, no kidding, only included our Hopin account and our platform manager that does all of the tech stuff to make sure the show runs smoothly. That was our entire budget this year, because the speakers were kind enough to say, like, no, we don't want anything. We just want to help make a difference. So this is a lot of people giving back. And so you have the business recruiter at Square. We're talking about Square.
Yes.
Square,
Huge.
man. Cash App, like Cash App, the Square Reader. We're talking about a $6 billion company. This is the lady that recruits businesses to partner with them and to use their POS systems. Starbucks, for instance, has Square readers in all of their different locations, right? Well, she's the person who would go to a business like that and say, hey, this is why our technology is best for you, right? Someone like that, you don't just find her. Like, there were people from Snapchat that had talked about coming in and, just doing a full-on like discussion, little fireside chat. Unfortunately, they weren't able to make it, but I'm just trying to let y'all know what's coming here too. What's coming next year, because these people, if they're already interested this year, very, very big chance they'll come next year.
Oh yeah.
I'll tell you the main one.
Go for it, man.
I'm not even going to keep it under wraps. That by next year, we should have Amazon there. We should have Amazon there because AWS, which is their web services department, handles all of the different cloud computing for Netflix, for all of these different companies. Bro, they're one of the head of their program that handles community relations and educational events with kids. They approach Khalil. And look, me, I'm just gonna do it anytime. The only reason why things didn't work out is because she was pregnant and she had to pass the ball to her colleague literally with a month to go before the event. Before that, she was on top of it. Like, AWS is going to be the headliner at this event because the event is that good. That's how she felt. So, we still got Square, we got HNTB, we have Patcher, like we have a lot of different companies coming through. I'll give a good breakdown of HNTB because they might have one of the best mentorship programs, and this mentorship program is what they use for their own engineers, right? To simulate the engineering experience, but they're going to break it down and kind of, make it moderated to where it's better for kids. So what HNTB has done is whenever they look at their engineers, they say, okay, you guys that are new, we want you to handle community involvement. We want you to handle community involvement because we're not looking for people that are just good at engineering. We're looking at people that are well-rounded individuals and who give back to their local communities because they're involved in a lot of things. HNTV, by the way, is the company that has worked on different stadiums. AT&T Stadium worked on Houston's 290 project, which is Highway 290, which everybody in Houston knows. And being from Houston, KJ and I are very familiar with that. They've just worked on so many different amazing projects, right? And to be able to work with them is amazing. Their young engineering team is the one that heads community involvement. And they saw what we were doing and they were like, yo, we need to work with y'all. We're trying to do a pilot program and do this simulation of what engineers typically go through. And we want the kids to know what it means to be an engineer. So similar to how I broke down cryptocurrency, I just want to do a quick breakdown of engineering. Engineering is nothing more than problem solving, right?
Yep.
So basically you identify a problem. Then because of that problem, you want to create some kind of hypothesis or figure out what the solution might be. Well, after that, you have to plan, you have to budget, and then you have to execute. They literally are creating a simulation that involves all 5 of those things. So what they're going to do is they're going to take our older group of kids, no matter how many we have, so that's like 16 and up, right? They're going to take them and do a breakout session, a whole hour and a half workshop.
Wow.
they're going to split into teams, and the different teams are assigned mentors, young engineers who were just in college a year or two ago, but have had to start learning how to do this. They're going to identify a problem, then they're going to identify a potential solution, and then they're going to have to say what their plan is, how much that plan is going to cost them, and whether it can be within a budget that they're assigned, and then they have to simulate execution. So it's this huge like brainstorming session, and they're really going to have to go through everything from the science to the numbers to teamwork and ideation. Bro, it's crazy to think that like our event last year at Max was like, hey, here's the presentation video. Like, no, this is so different. This is so different. So we're super excited. And like the panels even are better, because last year we were not prepared for what I would call specialization, right? Like we didn't know, we really didn't know, unfortunately, that you couldn't have the 12-year-olds in the same panel discussion as the 16-year-olds, not because of the questions they would ask or anything like that, but because it just makes it really difficult for the panelists to know who should I be speaking to, right? And so when a panelist, last year we didn't have panels, we had speakers.
Yes.
So people were able to be present for the whole event. And this year they're still able to be present for the whole event, but we are telling people, if you're a novice, or if you feel like you're mid-level, or you feel advanced, these are the ones for you.
Right.
But feel free to attend them all, right? And so what happened was last year we had it to where those speakers would come and talk about a certain topic, like augmented reality, virtual reality, and so forth, right? But this year it's a little bit different. This year it's all about interests, skills, and experiences. So it's a lot more, I don't even want to call it watered down, but it's a lot more simplified. And what we're doing is we're not talking about a tech trend or a specialty in tech, because that might go over some of the younger kids' heads. But we also don't want to talk about specialties in tech, because even the 16-year-old who might know they're interested in tech doesn't know what specialty they may want to get involved in just yet. So why don't we talk about it from a more general standpoint? So what we decided was we'll do panels. So the first panel is building your interest, right? Talking about what the future holds and why you don't want to just enjoy what is created in the future. You want to participate in creating it, right? And so that builds people's interest. And then the next thing is talking about skills. So how do you build your skills in tech? Like, what do you need to be doing to prepare yourself for the future? Like, what classes do you need to be taking? What summer camp programs do you need to possibly participate in? You know, those kind of things. And then the last one is building your experiences. So that one is all about internships, projects, and potential company placement, because we've realized too that when you talk to a 17 or 18-year-old, the only thing on their mind is the fact that, oh shit, I'm gonna be in college in 2 years. Like, I'm gonna be in college in a year. And that's all that they think about, right? And so the best thing for us to do is to literally say, okay, hey, you're not in college yet. And I know for the next 2 years, you're not even going to have a major. But here are all the things our panelists would have done differently if they knew what they know now. Here are the different things they would have participated in. These are the projects they would have done. These are the entrepreneurial ventures they would suggest you take versus the things they would say, don't, maybe you shouldn't drop out of college if you're just trying to make the next delivery app, like they're going to tell you these things based on their real life experiences. But the other thing too is, how do you get recruited from a company by a company like Google?
Right.
Like, by people who have done it. When you have someone telling you, I worked at Google, then I worked at Snapchat, then I worked at this, now I'm at Instagram,
Right.
and this person is telling you their long resume, you want to hear what they did in college. What did you major in? What did you do with your summers? Where did you intern first? How do I go from getting an internship to locking down a permanent job? So that's what we decided to focus on, were conversation topics like that. And instead of having panelists do specialties or even do one panel,
Right.
those panelists are actually all going to be on all 3 panels.
Wow.
The questions are going to be different based on, are we trying to help the kids develop interests, skills, or experiences based on where they are in life? So you're going to get to hear from Grace, or get to hear from Eric, or get to hear from Ashley. What exactly would you suggest I do at this stage in life? Are there, if I'm a young kid, maybe my mom hops on and is like,
Yep.
hey, I just want to know, how do I get little Billy interested in tech? Because he loves video games,
Right.
but he doesn't seem to want to create anything. Aren't there things he can do? Oh, well, there's this awesome program called this, or I did this when I was younger. Okay, perfect. Oh, well, when my dad bought me a computer and he actually said, hey, this weekend we're going to take it apart, we're going to rebuild it. That's when I first got interested in tech. Okay, great. Those are the kind of things we need to discuss in the first panel. But in the second one, when it comes to skills, then someone needs to be saying, hey, school is only going to teach you so much. You need to be going to coding boot camps every week. This is how you figure this out. This is how you do this. This is where you need to place yourself. Okay, great. Then the same panelists are going to be there to tell you later, hey, when I was in college, this was my biggest mistake. This was my biggest win. This is what I did and what I would do differently. And so those are the kind of things that we wanted people to get. And it's kind of cool because if you watch the event from beginning to end, you're literally going to see the progressions of these people's lives. Like how what they did when they were in elementary and middle school led to them doing what they did in college and now doing what they do now. It's very different, bro.
And I'm excited about it too, because I think the awesome thing about this upcoming event is that you have all these tech companies. They want this farm system. They want this. If they didn't want this, they wouldn't be at this event.
That's a great point. Yeah, it's true. I think the thing too is like the way KJ and I've always painted it to people is like, if you really put yourself out there as an organization that cares and was at an event like TechFest, this is what I want corporate sponsors and partners to hopefully all embrace and understand and like moving forward run with is, if you actually look at it, a 5th grader or 6th grader sees your name at an event where they fell in love with tech, and that's all they remember. Oh, I saw Intel on that banner. Don't you think that 4 years later, when they're a freshman in high school, they're going to be thinking, what do I need? Let me just kind of incorporate a couple of things. What do I need to be qualified to go get a computer science degree or a mechanical engineering or computer engineering or software engineering degree in order to work for Intel, right? Like it literally shapes their life in a way that I don't think these companies used to realize. Like there's something aspirational about going to an event when you're a kid and seeing something and saying, I want that. Like I want that for myself, right? So like a good example is a great example is if I go and let's be real. This is what we see all the time, right? Like if I see my favorite musician using a certain type of microphone, I'm attracted to the potential of using that microphone one day when I do it. You hear many DJs or producers say, this is the piece of equipment that got me hooked. I saw Kanye had this, and I always told myself after that, I'm gonna have the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have the same thing, right? Even when you look at basketball players and shoes, oh, I remember seeing this on TV, and every time I saw LeBron do this, he was wearing those pairs of shoes. I said, man, I got to get those shoes. When I hoop, I'm going to have those shoes. And surely enough, everybody's chasing small little aspirations like that, right? So if a tech company can come and say, hey, this is what we do. We change the world in this way. When a kid sees a rocket launch, and they say, oh, SpaceX, what's SpaceX? And they go and they look it up and they say, one day I'm gonna work for SpaceX. That dream, you read a lot of Forbes stories and Inc. stories and Fast Company and Entrepreneur. You read those stories, and a lot of these kids will tell you they had those dreams from an early age. From a very early age. So like to ignore the potential farm system that there is or the minor league of tech would be a huge mistake. Like corporations shouldn't miss out on getting in front of young kids and being like, hey, this is how we're changing the world. And like, if you do well in school and you work hard and you keep up with us, and you go to the boot camps and you go to the coding events and you do all of these different things and you hit us up to come intern with us, then you very well could be here in 10 years. And that's a very short while too, by the way. Like 10 years is nothing, and if these companies plan to be around for hundreds of years, 10 years from now, they literally could have that same kid who heard one of their workers say something that made them aspire to work for the same company. 10 years from now, that kid could very well be there, So I just think that it would be a grave mistake to miss out on talking to kids about, what these different companies do and how to, align yourself so that you can be doing it with them,
Definitely. And I think before we came on the podcast, we were joking about it, but I'm serious about it. Is that that responsibility falls on us. We have to create those AAUs. You know how we have those AAUs. We need the AAU of tech for the next generation.
It's
so
true,
that,
man.
It's
true. It's true because and I consider myself worldwide West on that. Right? I'm about to, the goal is to literally have it be where it's like, hey, come talk to me. You need to go talk to that person over there. Like you told me you're interested in virtual reality. You need to go talk to that speaker over there. But people, it's so funny because like the reason why I think AAU gets so much attention is because like there's not a single major hooper in America that didn't go through that farm system.
Yes.
And so like but there are people behind the scenes that are like, you need to talk to this person, you need to talk to that person, you need to, and the funny thing is, like, the same way that someone's going to be like, hey, I can help you land that Adidas contract, I can help you land that Nike contract, is the same way, without the shadiness behind the scenes,
Right.
that Khalil and I want to be like, hey, we can get you that Facebook interview. We can get you there. And the coolest thing is, it's not all on us to do it, man. Like, TechFest is literally that program that if we feed a kid to, and I don't like the word feed, if we direct a kid in the direction of like a coding boot camp, right? Or an accelerator. And that kid now, thanks to that, lands a job or an internship with one of the biggest tech companies. We only did one part. We only did one part. So our job is to educate while simultaneously introducing them to certain things. And then if they can go on to the next stage on their own, then I feel like they'll keep going. So like this is kind of like Tech Fest Junior, like it's kind of like there are other tech festivals that they need to be aware of, and there are other organizations that they need to be aware of. And the hope is to eventually start getting those organizations to have vendor booths at TechFest, so that we can be like, hey, if you're interested in learning about fintech and things like cryptocurrency, you need to go talk to the people at this booth. But if you're interested in this, on the other hand, you need to go talk to this person at this booth. And the thing is, after that, it's not that they're out of our hands. We want them to continue to come back to TechFest until they literally are no longer of the age to do so. But the great thing about it is that one day, the hope, right? This is what every organization hopes for, is that a kid will come back and be like, hey, I started my own company, or I work with this company that's never heard of TechFest, and I told them we had to be here. I brought my company here. I want to have a speaker slot. I want to do a workshop. Like that's the end goal, right? To basically create this thing that's so much bigger than ourselves that it can just keep going based on people who were inspired in their youth and now take over. They take the helm and we don't even have to worry anymore. Like that's how a lot of events go over time. And like, Khalil and I are not in it for money or fame, nor short-term successes. Like, this is a long-term thing to help underprivileged and underserved kids get in front of major tech individuals, major personalities and leaders in tech, ask the questions they want to ask, figure out how do I be like you, and then go out and do it. And the coolest thing is that the vendors that can help you go out there and become that should also be there, right? Like, you want to finish hearing a speech and be like, oh, they said I need to do this, this, and this. Yeah. And you walk outside. This is when we're in person next year. You walk outside of that tent, and there's a vendor booth that catches your eye that, hey, they teach exactly that thing that I was just told I could learn. And you can go and talk to them and sign up. That's the intention we have, so that when we piece together all of these different things, that's what we're thinking about. Like, hey, our vendors need to basically be teaching the things that are being highlighted in our workshops, being highlighted in our panels, being highlighted in the fireside chats, so that the kids don't feel like, okay, they told me what to do, but now I need to hop online and go find out how to do it. No, you can literally step right outside and see that person and go sign up with them. And 6 weeks later, you're being thrown in the water and told to swim. But hey, at least you know that the whole purpose was for you to really develop your interests, then your skills, than your experiences. The experiences. Hey, I want a college student. I want a 17 or 18-year-old to be like, hey, can I get your business card? Because next year I'm going to be going to U of H. I'm going to be doing this major. And like my first internship, I want to do it with y'all. And 2 years later, that person comes back and is like, hey, I got it. That's what we're really in it for, you know?
And I hear you, man. And this was a dope conversation. But my ultimate dream is to have like a all McDonald classic tech. You know how like in the like you have the ESPN top 100. I want to see a Tech Fest top 100 of the top kids in tech, and then you know how they'll have like the big celebration when the kid chooses the hat and what school he goes to because of tech.
Yeah. I like that. I want to see that. My name is Billy Ayola, and I choose to go to Georgia Tech for engineering. Yeah, and then man. That's the way it should be, because the truth of the matter is like. And, I really loved when you remember those videos when kids would find out they were going to Harvard or Stanford or something, and they would make so much noise and the camera shaking and everybody's going crazy. Yeah, I love those videos, man. And I think, I really do think that we have to get past the idea of just like going to school or going to an Ivy League school, because it's not to downplay what has been done. But the thing is that you don't often get a where are they now kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. And another thing too is like, I hate to put it this way, but I have to address it. If a kid is going to Harvard or Stanford or Brown or Georgetown or any of these amazing schools, which by the way, like I went to University of Houston and we have the #1 entrepreneurship program, right? Yep. And like I went there for entrepreneurship. So I knew I was going there for the best that I could get from that school, right? And so the reason why I say that is because it doesn't necessarily matter what school you go to, but I definitely know that if you go to Harvard and then you major in communications, there are still many, let's just be honest, there are still many legacy Harvard students, the majority of them being white men, who would never let their kid do that, right? Who would never let their kid major in that. So I would just hate for people to make noise because they've been told that they're going to an Ivy League. I would also hope that we can start to take pride in what major we're choosing to pursue, or even to be able to say, hey, it's not necessarily about going to college and just graduating if you're going to have a lot of debt. Let's graduate with no, you've been at the barbecue, you've been at the family cookout for the graduation party where somebody said, not only did I graduate, and you're waiting for them to say I graduated magna cum laude, and they're like, I graduated debt free. Yeah, that's the only thing. It's the highest honor. Like it doesn't have anything to do with magna cum laude, summa cum laude. No, it's did you graduate debt free? So that you are financially free to take the next steps in life, right? Or to be able to take some risks. So it's just one of those things that I really want people to be able to step with us into their next stage and be like, you know what? Like I've really got my head on straight. I know what it is, because there are going to be some speakers that might tell you like, hey, I went to Brooklyn community, and now I have a multi-million-dollar business. And no one's asking me what my degree was. No one's asking me what school I went to. I want people to be able to have those honest and candid conversations so that kids aren't feeling like, oh, I can only make noise if I get into this Ivy League or this top 10 Forbes school. And, because there are people that are chasing that who frankly will never be successful, And so we only care about the end result. And so knowing that tech is going to produce the best end results, at least for the next 25 years, that's what we're focused on. Doesn't matter what school you go to, just, hopefully you can go to the right school, major in the right thing, and to the best of your ability, come out debt free. That's what we want for them. and we also want them to graduate with jobs, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm not worried about you graduating and not having a job. I want you to graduate and be able to say, hey, and it would be so nice for someone to be like, you know what? I didn't even have to attend a career festival or do any of those things because I already went in having an internship at Square or at Snapchat or at this place because of my TechFest Live connects. Now eventually when we have 500, 1,000, 2,000 kids,
You're right.
it's going to be hard to keep up with. We might overfill the pipeline, but that will be a testament to all of the hard work we're trying to do right now, and what we've got coming next year too, where it should be in person for the first year ever. So we're hoping to get you to fly out. We got to have everyone come out here.
You got my word. I'll be there, man. And,
We
and
appreciate
you
it.
guys are doing great work, and it's just important that we celebrate and highlight the triumphs and then also the lows too, because that's how you get better as a person. And this is needed. This is well needed. And I'm telling people out there, come out this Saturday and enjoy the event because you're gonna get a lot of information. You're gonna build with a lot of people, and this is important, man. What you guys are doing is great work, and it needs to be spread all over the United States because at the end of the day, these major companies, they're looking for the next LeBron James in tech.
Yeah.
They are.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, what's interesting is this, bro. Like, I'm about to say something. They're looking for the next Larry Bird, the next Steve Nash, the next.
But
no. But
in this George Floyd era,
you're right. You're right. But the reason I say that is because I believe that there's this idea of looking for like an anomaly, but they're not really searching for a black anomaly. I think if you're maybe in journalism or something like that, you're trying to find like who's that person that can disprove this thesis that all popular tech CEOs are white.
Yeah.
So they go looking for those people, right? And then they want to report on those people. But the truth of the matter is, it is super important to want to find that for no reason other than to say, hey, it's possible. Not because you want to disprove everyone's thought that tech is this very like large monolith of white and Asian men, right? Like, because I just think like, I don't know, this last year of race discussions has really probably changed a lot of people's perspectives or gotten people to think more deeply on it and everything. And for me, what it really has done is like, it makes me think about race in a certain way to where it's like, while we want to celebrate certain things, like it's just like it's like Diddy and Puff, right? I mean, it's like Puff and Jay-Z, right? Like they'll say, you know, I'm the it's funny because they'll be like, I'm the first black this and that. Are you and they'll be like, and what, and nonetheless a black man, there's always that moment.
Right.
But it's very important that they always end with, so now you have something to aspire to. Now you know it can be done, right? Not just celebrating themselves or saying like, hey, we did it.
Right.
That's all that needed to be done. No. You did it so that you could kick down the door for somebody else, right? And so the thing is like, while they'll never really come looking for that black tech CEO, and much less they don't want to create that black CEO.
Yeah.
What they want to do, let's be honest, is create more workers. Not black workers. They just want to create more workers
Bodies.
because they need that.
Yeah.
They need that. There's a 1 million person gap in the tech field because of the skills gap. You think they don't want to fill it with any and every person of every race and creed, bro? They'll do it. That's how you end up with conservative bosses who have, you know, black, gay, trans, Hispanic, Asian, because they're just looking to fill the roles. And like you said, they're looking for more bodies, but they don't expect you to be their competition. They don't want a LeBron of tech. Like they don't really want that. They want someone who's going to play the position and be there. And then when they finish, they do things the typical way. They want the Richard Jefferson. No offense to Rich. They want the Richard Jefferson attack. They don't want the LeBron attack. They don't want anyone that's going to talk out too much. If you told somebody that the next Elon Musk is going to be black, that would really scare them.
Oh,
you know. But if they can say the next person to work for SpaceX, the next engineer at Tesla is going to be black, they'll be like, yeah, I can believe that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just one of those things to kind of be aware that only people who are black themselves, brown themselves, or true allies, like ride or die allies, like people who speak at Tech Fest and do things like that at Tech Fest, only those kind of people are really looking to truly empower the kids to dream big and do things on the grand scale that they and their colleagues have done them on, you know. And if you don't see them at Tech Fest, they're not legit.
Yeah, facts.
That's basically what it's going to be.
No.
I want the most legitimate speakers to be at Tech Fest year after year, so that they can be, so people can be like, you know what? I've never come here and heard anyone try to BS me into just another standard career. They're not just trying to make me be another number. They told me I can be a CEO. They told me that I could be, you know, an entrepreneur. They told me that I can start the next unicorn. That's where I want them to think. And the only way they can think that is by coming to an event that's kind of no holds bar, which, even though we're family friendly, I believe us to be that kind of organization. You know, we're not going to hold back on what needs to be said.
No, and I think it's dope because to me, you guys are like the cookout of tech. The family cookout of tech. Because y'all, seriously, you hold no punches. You're transparent, which is important, especially talking to 12-year-olds and up. You know, you want to be honest. It's like, hey, this is the real world. This is what you're going to expect. I'm not going to sugarcoat everything. You know, if you want to get into this field, you got to put the work in, and then also at the same time, set yourself up for disappointment because it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's true. And kids can sniff out lies pretty easily, like, because they're some of the most authentic. You know, a kid would say, "You're breastfeeding." You know, that's crazy, man. So they you know, they really can sense like when people are being genuine when they're not. So I really admire that about kids, but it also forces people to really think when they're talking to them, like, you know, because people like to try and just tell kids, you know, and your word is supposed to be the ultimate because you're older than them. But there's something about kids that'll just be like, I didn't really feel what that person was telling me.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny because I heard a kid say something like, I heard him tell an adult that they were using him. And I was like, this kid's like 15. Like, what does he know about being used? But the truth is, like, he could tell. And then you have 28-year-olds that are being manipulated into working every weekend and working 90-hour weeks with no overtime pay, and they don't know they're being used. So I'm like, come on, like these kids know. We just have to basically, decide what truths are we going to tell them. There's a conservative congressman down here in Texas. And I love the dude.
Yeah.
Like, truly, his name is Dan Crenshaw, right? And so, like, when you're growing up black in Texas, I was born and raised in Houston. So, like, you have a certain way of looking at things. You kind of have this open mind, like, okay, I still have to understand both sides and whatnot, because you're going to see a lot of it. You're going to hear a lot of it. You're going to debate kids in class. You're going to, they're going to be all of those different things. And so he was just saying, like, it's very important what we tell kids. Like, are we telling black kids that you can't make it far because of the color of your skin? Or are we telling them that you're going to face these obstacles? That is the truth, but you can overcome them. And it's true. Like, I don't believe in sitting there and just telling kids, like, life's going to be hard. It's going to be so hard. They ain't going to want you to make it. The man's never going to want you to make it.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm there to tell them, nor bring people to tell them. Like, I want to bring people that are going to tell them, like, hey, life is tough, but you can make it, and you will make it. Here's the playbook. Follow this, and I think you'll find that things will go a lot smoother. And there really is a playbook out there, because let's be honest, millions of people of a certain race follow it all the time and are doing just fine.
Yeah, true. So, that's true. But
I have no problem with telling someone there's a playbook. It's just, can we find the people that are going to expose that playbook and show our kids that? So.
Right. And I think the one step is that people out there, you need to check out Tech Fest 2021,
Yes,
November 13th.
Yes.
11 a.m.
4:30. Yes.
11 a.m. CST, 12 p.m. Eastern time.
Yes, sir. To 4:30 EST. Yeah, or CST. You're right. Yeah, we're central. So if you're up in the north, make sure you catch us at 12. No, what am I
12.
saying? Yeah, 12. Thank you. Time zones are not my thing. But yeah, no, we definitely are excited, man. It's going to be great. It's going to be an awesome event. Of course, West Coast catch us at 9. The whole time I was saying it's going to be great, I was thinking about that time zone.
Yes. But yeah, definitely check that out. Yes, check that out. They definitely have the playbook, so you need to check it out. Billy, thank you for jumping on, man. I can't wait till the in live event for next year, because I'll definitely be there. With the mic and the headphones and the little laptop, I'll be there, man. But before we end it, what words of wisdom you want to tell the youth out there about tech and the importance of tech?
You are your biggest enemy, and don't be an obstacle. Make sure that you keep in mind that you're able to do anything. And as it relates to tech, the main thing is just get started. If you begin with even the smallest thing, like a home project, you'll be surprised what that can spark. And so for also parents, don't downplay certain things. I've seen kids that have a whole YouTube community or a whole Twitch community going. They're out there like streaming their games. They want to make games. They want to do stuff like that. And I know the parents are like, man, you always on that game, but they don't even know their kids like are trying to figure out how to make hundreds of thousands of dollars doing what other people do every day, and so I think it's just one of those things where the possibilities honestly are endless, and we just have to encourage our kids to get out there and just get started. I mean, let me just say something. If you're a parent and you're watching this, please go read a Forbes article on Roblox. Roblox, ROBLOX. Roblox. Go look at it, because the funniest thing about it is kids are out here designing their own games that people buy on this platform, and there are 14-year-olds making $100,000 a month from people buying their games. And I just find it crazy that a lot of parents don't even know about these opportunities. Man, I'd be putting my kids to work, man.
Seriously, if I had kids, I'm like, yo, you getting that Roblox? That's your Christmas gift.
You getting a Roblox? Like, man, because it's crazy to think, and they're. I hate to use Britney Spears as an example because she recently had this legal case against her dad, but parents are literally managing their kids. Like, they're taking in the money, doing the accounting, like, how many games did we sell this week? Like, so this is the new I'm not gonna call it child exploitation.
I'm not touching that. Allegedly. All I'm saying is allegedly.
This is that new entertainment. This is that new entertainment.
Yes,
this
allegedly.
Yeah, exactly. Allegedly. Yeah, allegedly.
but to sum it up is that we want to create a passion and a possibility and get them thinking about the jobs that haven't been created yet.
Yeah.
And let them be at the forefront of the jobs of tomorrow. Well, Brother Billy, thank you for jumping on. I appreciate you, man. We got to do this again, man. Seriously.
Yes, for sure, man. I mean, this has become at this point for us, it has become a yearly stop. We have to make sure that every time we do Tech Fest that we have an annual podcast episode with you for sure. And like, as the years go on, we continue to see that progress. So, it's definitely fun to always talk about it, man. It's a very, very interesting time. The door is wide open. Like, I know people don't believe that. It's easy to think that there are a lot of hindrances, but with events like ours, like, the door is honestly wide open. Like, go learn, and if they won't give you a job, make a job.
There you go. Make it.
Yeah, make it.
But brother, I appreciate you, and we're out. Peace.
Thanks, man.